Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about AGH's Bristleback. This is a really fun build you can do, and if you don't know what it does, basically, it upgrades your Bristleback, and every 20 seconds, which is a very short cooldown, you can shoot out 6 quills. 6 quills! It's a ton of damage, wipes through creep camps, allows you to flash farm, do a ton of damage in teamfights, and abuse Bloodstone. So let's watch Pakaz, carry player for AG, dominate with Bristleback. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the Game League website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken and really take your game to the next level, I'm going to be able to help you, because sometimes the guides on YouTube, there's either not enough of them, they're not specific, or they're just tier lists, which I know you guys love, but at the end of the day, the Game League website is going to help you get to the next level, so click the link down below and sign up. So the build you're going to be watching here can be played in any of the core roles. I don't really think it's exclusive to carry or offlane or mid lane, because I actually think Bristleback is pretty fine in any of the roles. In terms of starting items, that's really going to come down to what role you're playing, but let's focus on the safe lane because that's what Pakaz is playing. In this game, he's with an IO, and so he has an extra bit of mana regen, therefore he doesn't actually have to go for any sort of mango build. Now, if you're playing in the off lane, you're probably going to have 2 mangoes, a stick, quelling blade, tangos, and branches, right? You're going to have some sort of mixed regen build. But because he's with IO and he's against something like Tide Sky who spams spells, he doesn't necessarily need that, and he can get away with Wand. In terms of the early laning stage, it's all about spamming quills so that you can secure the CS. You'll notice he has no problem pushing in the wave and even ends up missing a CS as a result. I don't think he wanted that necessarily. But yeah, he has no problem kind of just pushing in the wave. And this is what most players do on Bristleback. They just use 2 to 3 quills per creep wave. Obviously, until they have Vanguard, then you don't have to quill as much unless you're going for a kill, right? They just kind of use quills to harass out the enemy. He also quills a bunch here to get the Skywrath Mage pretty low. Now after that, he ships out boots, a Bassi, and a Mango. The Mango is obviously for mana. The Bassi is because he's with IO. If you're not with IO, honestly, you kind of have to go Ring of Health in this case. Right, if you don't go Ring of Health on Bristleback, your hero will have sustain issues and you'll likely die. And so yeah, he can kind of greed out and go for a really gold efficient build right in the Bassi, because the Bassi doubles mana regen, or not doubles, but increases mana regen with IO because of Tether and how it works. So he gets to go a more greedy build. Boots is OP with IO, Bassi's OP with IO, but in your normal game, you're going to have to go Ring of Health, and then after Ring of Health, you're going to have to buy a bunch of mangoes to sustain your mana. From there, the main timing you're playing for is generally Vanguard. However, if you happen to hit level 6 before that, you can get very, very aggressive. Even in this clip here pre-6, it's pretty impressive what Pakaz does to manage to pick up this kill on Tide. I thought this was a little risky because he was 20 gold off Vanguard. Like, theoretically, if you're going to dive the tower, you maybe should just wait. But yeah, they get aggressive, and this is why I like the 1-3-1 skill build. A lot of people don't skill Goo, but that's going to cause you to have no real pressure at level 6, and no real pressure pre-level 6. At level 6, if you don't have Goo, you can't even build up stacks efficiently. And pre-6, you can't do really much any damage at all unless the enemy sucks without the Goo. So yeah, skills up the Goo and actually ends up getting a nice double kill here onto the Tidehunter and the Storm Spear, turning around at the last second, picking up a double, and out finishing his Vanguard. Now, if you're playing standard Bristleback, in this case, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go Soul Ring, right? If you want to sustain your mana spam, you have to go Soul Ring. Or, if you're in the off lane, you can go Mana Boots, and the Mana Boots will later turn into Bloodstone. After that, guys, it's all about farming. Do not get distracted, okay? Yes, if you're dominating your lane, if you stomped your lane, you can keep running at the enemy, right? If you've stomped your lane, you can just keep running at them with high movement speed and try to bully the hell out of them. However, right? However, if the game is even remotely even, just flash farm. Now in this game, you'll notice in this fight here, obviously he's incredibly strong, right? He's got a 21, he's got his Vanguard. I mean, I don't know, I have no idea why the enemy comes in this area, but he absolutely destroys the Skywrath Mage, chases down the Storm as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, they take a really good fight and they win it. So typically in a normal Bristleback game, what you have to do after the laning stage is kind of take stacks in your jungle, right? The main thing you want to look to do is kind of like farm these camps together, because you can quill these camps. You can not really farm these camps, but you can sort of farm these camps. And then the other thing you can do is you can quill these back camps, right? You can quill these back camps. Because he's dominating, he's pushing forward, and he's actually going to farm the enemy Ancients, which is incredibly efficient, as the triangle is the best farm for Bristleback. So even if you can't invade like this, eventually, right, let's say around a minute 11 to 12, You want to make your way towards ancients and pray you have stacks. If you don't have stacks, it's okay, you can still just kind of farm up the ancients, but you should really ask your teammates to stacks. It truly makes Bristleback a different hero. Now, eventually, when you have your AGHANIM'S Scepter, you want to go for a Voodoo Mask, and yeah, at this point, I'll show you what it does. It's pretty funny. So if you want to farm ancients, all you have to do is click your E. As I said, it's tied to your Bristleback, and it gives you 6 quills, and it does a ton of damage, right? You'll notice he's going to turn around, and then he did it the wrong way. You have to click it where you want it to go, right? So if you want to shoot the quills towards the ancients, just click on the ancients. I guess he thought it was the other way around, which is definitely a reasonable mistake to make. But yeah, that is how you use it. And so finally, Pakaz figures it out after messing it up a couple more times. He eventually realizes you have to click where you actually want to go. And then it's quill, 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 quill. And it wipes out ancients. And as I said, I mean, it's not even a 20-second cooldown, right? Because it lasts for about like 2 to 3 seconds. So it's more like a 17-second cooldown. It's so short, and it allows you to be very fight-ready, tanky, and farmed. And eventually, now he's going to work towards his Bloodstone, and the Bloodstone should be pretty obvious why it's good. If it's not, well, it makes you tanky, and when you activate it, you get bonus Spell Lifesteal. And if you hit 1 to 2 targets with your Bristleback AGHANIM'S Scepter, it's going to heal you for insane amounts, and we'll see that. On top of that, what's really incredible is if you decide to go Mana Boots and Vanguard, you can disassemble Vanguard into Bloodstone, and you can also disassemble Mana Boots into Bloodstone. And this means you can get a Bloodstone Axe timing at some crazy time. I mean, this is obviously some exception game. He's just dominating. I don't think this is the average game by any stretch of the imagination. You should be aiming for more of an 18 to 20 minute timing on this, right? Even 18 is pretty early, but if you're buying Mana Boots, then you certainly can get 18, even 17. Because of the effective usage of disassembling the items. Alright, and this fight right here, guys, is why this build can be OP. First off, he buys Lotus Orb as his next item, which tends to be the best item as it counters a lot of the slows and spells that kite Bristleback. It gives you armor, which is very key on this hero, especially against Razor and Tidehunter. Right, the Bristle has bad armor, and it really solves that problem. And in this game, it also purges a Spirit Vessel if needed, right? So it's really just great, right? Lotus Orb is so fantastic and almost always should be the next item you're buying. Right. In this fight, he ends up getting pretty low. Looks kind of bad. His IO dies early on. He does have Aegis, and he's building up some quills, right? So the enemy is starting to get low. Also, keep in mind, roshing on this hero is really easy with Ags. It goes incredibly quick. But yeah, he has to kite out. Fatal Bonds is killing his whole team. Things are looking pretty garbage, and it looks grim. But the Ags will kick in shortly as he uses it correctly. And look at this. Look at the Skywrath Mage. What the hell? Oh my gosh, and then by the Hairball, it applies 2 Goo stacks and 1 Quill stack in a massive AoE, and that keeps people slowed, and you should almost always use the Hairball and then the Axe, because the Hairball is going to slow them down significantly, right, in an AoE, and then the E is going to do the damage, right? So remember, use the Hairball and then use the Axe. I don't even think he's been doing that perfectly throughout the game, but that is certainly something you can do, as once again, drops the Quills, heals quite a bit. Unfortunately, if people kind of understand what it does, they can kite it a bit, which I think is the downside. But that's why this is paired very well with the Hairball and stunts in general. It's certainly something you want to pair with Disables. Just trying to use it flat out is a little bit hard. And finally, to end off the video, let's look at a high ground push. In terms of his item progression, he's worked towards an Assault Cuirass, which amps all the quill damage and your right-click damage. You do need some attack speed as well to synergize with Warpath. And even if you're offlane, I recommend trying to scale into right-click later on. I do think that there are games where you can go Sanjin Kaya and like Heart and just try to be some sort of, or even Octarine, and just be some sort of nuisance with spells. But I believe that build is generally kiteable, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So I think the mixed build is the best build, right? I think really that if this hero becomes meta, it will primarily become through either like an early BKB build, like an Ags BKB, or like an Ags Bloodstone into mix. Right, and we'll see in this team fight here the value of that, right? With 12 Warpath stacks, you're hitting for 500, so you want attack speed from your Assault Cuirass. With the BKB, that kind of just means that you can stick on top of people, right? You're not going to get chain stun, even though he pops it very, very late here. Eventually, look at the Ags on this guy. Oh my god, it destroys supports. And so do your auto attacks as he dominates this Warlock. And yeah, that's going to be about the end of the game. In terms of talents at level 10, I think because he had an IO, he felt comfortable with mana. Some people will take the mana regen, just depends on the game and how you're feeling. At 15, Goo cast range isn't very good anymore, so you take Bristleback side and damage reduction. And then at level 20, of course, you're going to take Quill stack damage with the AGHANIM'S Scepter. At level 25, you would think maybe you take Spell Lifesteal, but it's kind of an underwhelming 12%. It's sort of a shitty number. So I think the 18 Warpath damage per stack is like far better. It's just way too much damage. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.